The Toronto Blue Jays have agreed to a 14-year deal with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extending the Sluggers deal for you heard me, $500 million. Welcome into MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. Was not expecting to do a video today, and then all of a sudden, late tonight, we get the deal. Ken Rosenthal first on the deal and the numbers itself. 14 years, no deferrals in the deal either. The Blue Jays pay the price for waiting so long to sign their star slugger. The Toronto Blue Jays needed some long-term stability as an organization. They made some steps towards that this offseason by signing Anthony Santander, trading for Jimenez, and a few other pieces as well. But this is definitely the linchpin of their organization. This was a team that was likely headed towards a quote-unquote retooling period of their organization at best, most likely into a full-blown rebuild if they didn't get Vlad Guerrero Jr. signed. This is a huge signing for this team, a team that's gotten off to a nice start to begin the season, and hopefully this is the start of some good things beginning there in Toronto. I was very hard on them for not signing him this offseason, hard on them during the last year as well, not getting this deal done. Ultimately, Vlad Guerrero Jr. said that he was not willing to negotiate this deal once they got to spring training. Ultimately, they kept the door open, and it sounds like Vlad Guerrero Jr. finally got what he was looking for all along. Begs the question, why did Toronto wait so long to get this deal done? No matter, they get the deal done anyway. Sure, they have to pay through the nose to get it done, but they finally get it accomplished. Congratulations to Toronto Blue Jays fans. As far as the rest of the teams that were looking to have a pursuit for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. lined up this offseason, looking at the New York Mets, the San Francisco Giants, Washington Nationals, New York Yankees, even teams like the Texas Rangers could have been suitors for him as well. They're going to have to find their future first baseman elsewhere because Vladdy will now be a career Toronto Blue Jay, barring some type of a trade. Now, we'll still wait to see additional details of this deal, if there's going to be any opt-outs, trade clauses, all those type of things. But the straight-up $500 million valuation is what Vladdy was looking for this offseason. He let that be known to the Blue Jays organization. Ultimately, they were not willing to talk turkey at that level without some level of deferrals in the deal before spring training. Now when they see their team in the dire straits of what their future was going to look like without him, they decide to pony up just a little bit extra here and not have those deferrals in there. So good on the Blue Jays for finally getting with the program, if you will. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Holly, welcome in. Cowboys Nation. Mark, congratulations to your Blue Jays discount. I don't know about that one, but it is a heck of a deal for both sides, honestly. Can't believe they actually got the deal done. Huge for us Jays fans. Couldn't agree with you more. Toronto was, like I said, headed towards a rebuilding situation if they did not get this player, specifically this player, signed. I think if Bo Bichette had been signed to a long-term deal, they still might have been headed towards at least a retool with Vladdy in the fold for the years to come. They at least have a linchpin in their organization that they can point to and say, hey, free agents, I know we haven't scooped up the best in the past. Maybe that's because our uncertainty of our organization, but now you have long-term stability here. What's the holdup? We got the money for you. Come on down. Let's sign here in Toronto and win something here. So we'll see if this kind of increases their ability to sign other outside free agents. They've fallen short in multiple off seasons now in a row. We'll see if this is the first step of many positive steps going forward for this Blue Jays front office. I wonder what the details with the opt-outs, if any, kind of wondering about that as well. I haven't seen anything specific outside of years and total true and the deferred money in the deal, and the no deferrals in the deal as well. Let me just pull up X real quick just to make sure. Full no trade signing bonus is included. So he does get the no trade clause in the deal. That coming from John Heyman literally 3 seconds ago. So he gets a full no trade out of it as well. We haven't heard about the opt-outs portion of it anyway. Deferrals should be done away with. I agree, deferrals need to be dealt with. I'm curious to see how they ultimately decide to handle that. Sounds like Major League Baseball isn't necessarily against the deferred money. They are wondering about doing some type of a salary cap in earnest, which means we could very likely be heading towards a work stoppage here fairly soon. Michael, welcome in. You weren't expecting this kind of news. I was not. I thought with him, holding off, before spring training, saying I wasn't willing to negotiate. I was, skeptical of the reports that they were negotiating a deal, that positive steps have been made. Only in the last couple of days did it kind of look like it was becoming a realistic possibility. But even then, I was still hesitant because, again, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's going to command a hefty salary in free agency. We could have seen something in the $550, maybe even the $600 million range once we got into free agency. If the Toronto Blue Jays were willing to go this far, I can only imagine what other teams a little bit more desperate than what the Blue Jays were. And yes, the Blue Jays were desperate in this situation. That's why they kind of caved to his price here. I think Vladdy's just very comfortable there in Toronto and said, hey, you're willing to meet my number. I feel very comfortable here. I want to stay a member of the organization, so I'll go ahead and take the quote-unquote discount, if you will, even though he got the number he was ultimately looking for. A little bit of the Dodgers numbers, as you mentioned there, Cowboys Nation. Snell is headed to the IL after having something crop up in his bullpen today, and Glasnow did not pitch well today, getting their second loss of the season. They will not go 161-1. You still think Bichette is gone? I do too. I still think that they're going to try to, add some better outside talent. I'm not sure Bo Bichette has another, Bobby Witt type of season left in him. I wonder if they ultimately decide to make a little bit more of a youth movement at that position and add other pieces around the organization, give that spot to Martinez or some other young player or a cheaper option in free agency. But I think with Vladdy signing here that they're going to invest that money elsewhere rather than Bo Bichette. Welcome in Paranormal. Welcome in Nando. Welcome back Willard. So what's this mean for the shortstop Bo? I think that it soaks up a lot of the money that they had for their own players. I think they're looking for higher ceiling players than that of Bo Bichette once they hit free agency. If they fail in free agency once again, maybe they circle back to Bo Bichette and say, hey, we'll keep it going here. And the wife and I got to watch Ovi make history. The arena was electric. That's awesome. Glad you got to see it. I was watching it live, so I was very happy to see him finally cross that finish line there. Wayne Gretzky, Gary Bettman, and others in attendance for it. And a special moment to be sure in hockey. Mark, awesome that you were there for the goal, Cowboys. Absolutely. Nando, Guerrero will regret it. Jays going nowhere. I don't know about that. I will say the Jays are doing fairly well this season. Do I think they'll win the division? No. Do I think they'll win a wild card spot? I think they're on the outside looking in of that picture right now. But with the long-term security now of Vladdy locked up, they can be a little bit more aggressive at the trade deadline and realize they've already got him locked up and see how good of a run they can make it in October. Remember, this is a quote-unquote all-in season for the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll have to see how all-in they're willing to be. Let's see here. Willard, welcome back. By the way, I promise you Mike Trout wastes his prime years for a sorry team. I don't know about that. I think Mike Trout did his best to be a loyal soldier for the Los Angeles Angels. Ultimately, he's going to retire a member of the Angels because his performance, athleticism, availability have all taken a major dip at the back end of his career. But I'll agree with you there that the Angels did him no favors during his time there outside of bringing in Shohei Ohtani. They really were not successful building a roster around those two players either. With the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't think that they necessarily view Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as top one or two players in the sport. I think the Toronto Blue Jays are realistic and view him as one of the best players that they had available to them to sign, and they certainly were not going to get any better without having him on the roster. So for teams that or players looking for a free agency destination, say what you will about the Canadian market, living in Toronto, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The fact of the matter is the future of the team was not certain. When you look at Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr., the two stalwarts of this organization, looking like they're heading out of town here in free agency, now they have somebody locked up long term that you can build around and point to Juan Soto and say, hey, Juan, we'd love you to sign here. You can play next to this guy for the next 15 years of your career. I think they can have a much sturdier foundation with which to approach free agents in the next free agency window. But like I was saying in this offseason, I wonder if Toronto is now viewed as the Farhan Zaidi era of the San Francisco Giants. They need to kind of shake that stigma and get another positive signing under their belt. They got one with Anthony Santander this offseason. Max Scherzer was looking for a place to compete. We'll see if he gets back on the field at some point and is a factor for them the rest of the year. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the best player on that team, and you weren't going anywhere without him. It'd be a tough free agency case to make to other top free agents if you were looking to build a contending team without your best player under contract. Now they have him under contract. They're good to go. Let's see here. Agreed unless they unless they name some major moves, but can't harp on their front office. Too much the way Elias has handled our roster. Same kind of thing there in Baltimore. They have a young team there that is really led by their young offensive talent. Their young pitching talent really hasn't risen to the occasion in the last couple of years. They make the trades in the last couple of years to bring in established major league starters like Jack Flaherty, Corbin Burns. Now they're looking for a number one at the head of that rotation, and they're not off to the greatest start of the year. So I will say the Orioles need some starting pitching there to kind of juice up that organization just a little bit. Ocean View, look at the Rangers. Absolutely, they're doing very good right now, and that's without their offense clicking, and I mean at all. The offense has not worked very well. Wyatt's been decent. Adolis Garcia had his moments for a couple of games. Jonah Heim has been a very bright spot for the Texas Rangers. And Marcus Semien and Corey Seager both hit their first home runs of the season in the last couple of games here. So maybe we'll get some juice back in this lineup, but the pitching has been the story for the Texas Rangers. Outside of a blown save in the first game of the year by Luke Jackson, this team has been very good on the pitching side. 14-3 loss in Cincinnati in game one of their series was the other loss. Basically, Kumar Rocker was able to battle through 3 innings, and then they gave it up to their long reliever just to kind of mop up the rest of the game. But outside of that, they pitched very, very, very well, and that's the reason why they are 8-2. Welcome in Lucas. Welcome in Lock Smart. I thought Vladdy wanted more. I guess not. He was looking for that $500 million deal without deferrals. That's what the rumors were at the very end of the offseason right before spring training, and now he ultimately gets it spread out over 14 years. Mike Trout at Texas is a dream. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, Lucas. He will retire a member of the Los Angeles Angels. Welcome back, Hank. You know what they say, no matter what, there's always an upside, Sports Network. Absolutely. Welcome back. Let's see here. Mike Trout and Blue Jay, first baseman, is a joke saying that the team isn't worth a dime. But all right, let's tone down the rhetoric there, Willard. I will say loyalty still has its place in the game. Not just in baseball, basketball, football, everywhere. Loyalty still matters. Look at Alexander Ovechkin and how the Washington Capitals can now point to him as a career Washington Capital and how much that's going to mean to that organization, that the all-time NHL goal leader was a career Washington Capital. The Dallas Mavericks, even though they completely torched that loyalty theme with Luka Doncic, you can still point to Dirk Nowitzki as the loyal face of the franchise for years and years and years to come. No matter who is still the owner or sells the team or is the general manager of the team, you still can point to Dirk Nowitzki as the one guy that you can point to and say he's still our guy. Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees, Ichiro Suzuki, for the most part, will always be remembered as a member of the Seattle Mariners. There's lots of players like that. Clayton Kershaw for the Los Angeles Dodgers. There's a lot of players around Major League Baseball that deserve that type of recognition, and I like to see some teams still honoring that aspect of it. Now, did they sign him to 14 years, $500 million just out of loyalty? No, they signed him because of what he does on the field, because of what it means for their pursuit of other outside free agents, for what it means for them being able to stay in contention for this year, let alone next year and the year after that. That's the reason why they gave him 14 years, $500 million, no deferrals, and a no trade clause in the deal. Let me just update real quick and just see if there's any opt-outs in the deal. Still do not see any conversation around opt-out language, so it does look like this is a straight-up deal 14 for $500 million. Explain Bregman going to Boston. Well, that's the Houston Astros not being loyal financially to Alex Bregman, being loyal financially to Carlos Correa, being loyal financially to any of the other pieces that they have. Sure, they could keep some pieces around for the long term. Say they pick one or two of those guys and build around those guys and kind of figure out the rest of the roster as they go. Not saying that it's right or wrong, but if you're looking for loyalty to be the reason why you wanted to keep him, you need more than that for some of these teams to get that done. But at the same time, there is still some value to having that type of a piece on your team. Yadier Molina with the St. Louis Cardinals comes to mind as well. He will forever be a St. Louis Cardinal, even if he comes back and manages somewhere else. I still think that the manager spot there in St. Louis is his whenever he's ready for it. I think Albert Pujols is a great manager in waiting. He may get the role if Yadi ultimately turns it down. All right, try to catch up on a few of these comments here. Welcome back, Cobra, excuse me. Let's see here. Look, Astros pitching is better than the Rangers. Not so far, my friend. Not so far. Let's see here. Got quite a few comments all of a sudden. I thought Trout was going to Philly or San Diego, but I wonder how much Ohtani player in him resigning, thinking they'd build around those two. Well, the deal is done. I think him having the best player in the sport at his side and Shohei Ohtani certainly did help him stay with the Los Angeles Angels, but he's always a loyal guy. He was never looking to move elsewhere. Josh Smith has been a great catalyst. Like you mentioned there, Hank, Rocker and Jackson Jobe have to learn to pitch. You're not blowing it by everyone at this level. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's more of what Jacob deGrom is going through right now, where he's still very effective, but he's still trying to tinker with his release points. We saw that in the first start anyway by Kumar Rocker. He was kind of hunched over on his delivery. Today he was a little bit more straight up and over the top, and that's kind of what Jacob deGrom is working on as well, making sure instead of releasing it at a little bit off, not straight over the top, but just off to the side. DeGrom's kind of working on that release point a little bit. I think we're seeing that with Kumar Rocker as far as trying to figure out where his release point is at the major league level. I think he was over-amped for his first start. He looked better today. Strikeout numbers, I think, will come as he continues to get better and better. But I will say that the Astros pitching has been better than expected, but the Rangers significantly better than what we originally expected as well. You mean the Texans go berserk? I'd imagine it would take $50 million or more in that market. I don't know about that. I would say that taxes are insane all over the world right now, given the current political climate, which I don't want to get into. Do you think Vladdy is worth that much money? I do, considering the market that he's in. He's invaluable to that market. He's invaluable to their ability to recruit outside free agents. He's going to be the most valuable commodity in free agency this upcoming offseason, outside of maybe Kyle Tucker. But we'll see what his number ultimately comes in at. I think he could have gotten closer to $600 million if he had gone through with it and gone to free agency. But $500 million, I think he's going to be worth it for their ability to recruit outside free agents to come there. I think having a lot more stability in that organization with your star player signed is certainly going to help them lure other free agents, no matter the tax situation, Canada, etc., etc. Texas lineup is tough. Lucky to go 5 innings versus them. I'll put it this way. Texas's lineup right now has a lot of hard-hit outs right now. The offense will come. But until then, the pitching staff is certainly holding things down. I will say that. They've been pretty good so far. Him and his agent got greedy. Yeah. That Merrill contract going to be good in future? I think it's good right now, honestly. You look at the Ronald Acuna deal, the Ozzie Albies deal. I think it could have a look of that. Another extension candidate that I'm keeping my eyes on right now is Wyatt Langford for the Texas Rangers. I think he has superstar, like mega superstar written all over him for Texas. He has the speed, the defense, the arm, the power, the contact rate, the leadership abilities in the clubhouse. Even for a second-year player, He is a very good player, and I think he's going to be the face of the franchise by the end of the year. I think he's that good. I thought Corey Seager would be better than he's been so far. I think Corey Seager will be back to being the Corey Seager we all expect him to be here in the next couple of weeks. But for right now, Wyatt Langford's certainly doing his best to kind of take over the reins of the best player on the team right now. I think by the end of the season, he will overtake Corey Seager at this point. I think that contract extension, whatever it turns out to be, is going to be a bargain for the Texas Rangers. I would love to see them get a 14 to 15 year type of contract done. I think it'll ultimately be more in that 8 to 10 million or 8 to 10 year range. But I would love to see them try to buy as many of those free agent years as they can, even if they are just option years at that point. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a few more of these comments here. There's much more loyalty in European sports. It's not as talked about as much because it's much more common. Okay. Rocker had a decent bounce back. Still needs a little bit more seasoning, but did his job. That's kind of what I was talking about. Rocker still is a little bit inconsistent as far as hitting his spots. The zone was very, very tight for pitchers today, and he still commanded the ball really well and was able to get through 5, his longest major league start so far. And I'm excited to see what his next start looks like. How far do they let him go? 90 pitches? 95? Do they cut him off at 85? Do they let him get into the 6th inning if he's still pitching well? That's something I'm watching for in his next start. But we do get a very good series coming up here with the Rangers and Cubs here in, over the next few days. Willard, Astros Hunter Brown is better than most Rangers starting pitching. Yeah, I'd say Jacob deGrom is better than most Astros starting pitching. What's your point, Willard? Let's see here. Lucas, Astros ugly should not be in Major League. You're funny there, Lucas. I don't know about that. I still think the Astros are a playoff team. Steven, welcome back. Jose, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us. Even as a Mets fan, I'm glad Vladdy signed with the Blue Jays. They were finished without him. Do you think they can sign Bo? I agree with you on your first point there. I think they were finished as far as being a contending team. They at the very least would have been a retooling team this offseason. At more realistically, they would have been a rebuilding team for the next few years if they had lost Vladdy. As far as Bo Bichette, I would not be surprised to see him walk in free agency if they're able to sign a better free agent. If they're unable to sign somebody in free agency, I think they'll circle back to Bo Bichette and see if they can sign him long term as well. I'm just saying, glad Vladdy won't be a Met. I will say that there was a chance he could have been a Met, but I think there's equally a good a chance he could have been a member of the Yankees, Rangers, Giants, Nationals, any one of those other clubs as well. Langford is a stud, absolutely. Great start, first all year. It was his second start for Kumar Rocker. Merrill was also loyal to the Padres. Yes, he was. Canada's 30th federal tax compared to Texas, for example. Yeah, taxes are always an issue no matter where you play. Sometimes they'll be an advantage for you, sometimes they won't. But you also have to take into account where you want to play. Are you familiar with the city? Do you feel, is your family from the area? Do you have ties? Are you comfortable living there? Would you rather uproot your family, live somewhere, 20 hours away from where you played most of your entire career, and uproot your family that way? For instance, Corbin Burns thought it was more valuable for him and his family to try to negotiate a deal closer to where he had put down roots with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that's why he reached out to the Arizona Diamondbacks to get that deal done. I know money is the overriding factor for almost all of these decisions, but understanding that there's going to be teams in the market for some of these players. For instance, say I'm player X and I want to play for the Baltimore Orioles because they're close to my home, whatever the case may be. If the Baltimore Orioles are offering me similar money versus a team like the Miami Marlins, who are further away, but I are further away from where my family has put down roots, but I played there in Miami, would I want to stay in Miami, or would I be more willing to take this similar deal in Baltimore? That would be a tough choice. Sometimes the player will choose Miami because that's where he's played for years and years. Sometimes he'll choose Baltimore because that's where his family's at and that's where the money is working for him. Free agency is different for everybody, and you got to take into account all of these things, not just tax revenue, not just how much they get more by playing somewhere because of taxes. Money is an overriding issue, but you got to take into other factors as well when a lot of these contracts that teams offer are very similar to the others as well. For instance, if I'm the New York Yankees and I want to get player like Freddie Freeman in free agency, if a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers is offering, $10, for instance, I don't necessarily want to offer $100 million when the Dodgers were the second highest bidder at $10. I would maybe want to offer him 11, maybe $12 rather than offering him so much more money. Now, obviously, contracts are worth millions and millions of dollars. Money is still a thing, but when the money is fairly equal, apples to apples, players will then factor in other things that are important to them in their decision making. Let's see here. There have been provided. Yes, yes, yes. Not that Vlad will need it, but true. Yes, you're only one live reporting on this. Early bird gets the worm. Well, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised more people weren't talking about it. I know I kind of waited a little bit, was kind of working on some things with the misses anyway, and nobody else was really talking about it. And honestly, even the big reporters out there weren't even tweeting about it after Ken Rosenthal's article came out. It was like 10 minutes before anybody else even confirmed the news. So I thought we'd go ahead and go live. And since we have a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans, Mark, I know you're one of them. We have several Toronto Blue Jays fans that follow us here. I thought I'd go ahead and make a video for you guys as well. Read an article saying Bo Bichette to the Yankees and Kyle Tucker to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not going to have the money to do something like that as much as I know the Philadelphia Phillies need to shake things up. Yankees could have the money to do something like that this offseason, but we will see. As far as Bo Bichette, I doubt he goes to the Yankees. I think Volpe's pretty much locked in at their shortstop spot. Now, as far as the third baseman, maybe that's where they put Bo Bichette, but I think they're going to look for a better upgrade there. Maybe their options that they use this year will work out better for the long run anyway, and they don't have to go that direction as well. Let's see here. Up early side. I like that one, Hank. Vlad probably felt sorry for the organization. He could have got a better deal, I think. I don't think he felt sorry for it. I think he got the number he was looking for from the Blue Jays the entire offseason. When the Blue Jays finally offered him the deal he was looking for, he jumped at the opportunity to play where he was comfortable. I think that's more the issue than anything else. I might trade for an impact outfielder and get an outfielder better. Just keep that in mind. I will say that's a possibility, Willard, but I don't think they have the financial resources to do it. Remember, they're only playing with about a $2 to $3 million cushion, so whoever they bring in has got to fit within that. We did a couple of trades the other night that sent a couple of Braves outfielders to the Astros to kind of help them out. Brian De La Cruz and Alex Verdugo, I thought, were two buy low options that the Astros could utilize in their outfield. That could be the type of impact move, I suppose, but they're not getting a Luis Robert or anybody like that. That's just too much money. They do not want to go into the tax for a player like that. I'm taking the money. It's nothing small. It comes out to a $70 million difference. Well, maybe it's worth it to, for Vlad Guerrero Jr. to sign that deal now with and stay in Toronto. Now, of course, the advertising money for Shohei Ohtani is off the charts type of crazy. He's the only player that really makes that much money. That would be differential or difference making for that player. Vladdy could, of course, have his own advertisements in Canada as being their player. That might be a little bit more helpful to him in that market. But I think it still could have been the same there with New York. Could have been the same there in LA if he had chosen to go to those destinations as well. But 70 mil is quite a difference. I will agree with you on that one. Paranormal, what's the prediction you think the Yankees will still get like a right-handed bat before the deadline? Still curious on what you think they'd go after before like before at the deadline, like a big trade. I think they're going to go pitching, and more pitching. I think the injury to Garrett Cole kind of sent shivers through that organization. The offense has been great so far. I think they'll go low cost as far as an impact hitter. My thought process at the deadline was for them to go after a piece like a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., like a Kyle Tucker, if they were going to be available. Sounds like both players will not be available at the trade deadline. I don't think there's going to be an impact bat that fits the description of what the Yankees are going to need. They might add a piece as far as a platoon type of a player or a decent role player for them. But they're not going to get an impact bat at that spot. Maybe a Nolan Arenado, if he waives his no trade, etc., could be a possibility. I would also count that as very unlikely. Pitching, though, seems to be their priority. They've reached out pretty consistently about the availability of Dylan Cease, trying to work together a deal. But as these teams kind of weed themselves out through as the season goes along, who's in contention, who's a seller, I think they'll become a lot clearer as far as what options are available for the Yankees to upgrade their rotation, and that's where they'll go to address it. Let's see. Still missing one right-handed bat. Contact or power doesn't matter. Just want to know realistically we could get till the trade deadline. Yankees are too lefty. Uh, well, I mean the Yankees are always going to be a little bit more left-handed because the home run swing for the left-hander is a lot easier in Yankee Stadium, shorter porch, etc. But for the Yankees, they do need some lineup balance as far as the type of player. Um, we talked this offseason about a Jose Miranda type player, a bench utility type player, somebody who could come in and take over at third base for a period of time, maybe a Castro from the Twins to kind of continue our Twins type of players that could go that direction if they're sellers at the deadline. If the Braves turn out to be sellers at the deadline, maybe they decide to save a little bit of money here or there, auction off a bat or two at the deadline. Maybe they could be a fit for one of those guys as well. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a few of these comments. Tucker will be playing with Juan Soto. Could be a possibility. I think that's actually a good chance of that with Vlad Guerrero Jr. coming off the books or coming off the market now. I think Pete Alonso is pretty much going to stay a member of the Mets for the foreseeable future, even after this season. And then once Marte's contract comes off the books this offseason, I think that frees up the money for Kyle Tucker, and I think that's where he very likely could end up. But don't rule out the San Francisco Giants. I think they're going to be right there for him as well. Astros can do anything they want. They'll still. I don't know about that one, Lucas. I still think the Astros are a playoff team. Maybe other teams offered are only $450 million and Toronto offer $500 because that's the only way it would make sense for Vladdy. Well, remember, the only team that could offer any contract right now to Vladdy was the Toronto Blue Jays. So there was no other team offering the money. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays were around $450 with deferrals. They had $500 million on the table to them with deferrals. That brought the present day value down to around $450. That was before spring training began. Now they get rid of the deferred money. Now the present day value matches what Vladdy was looking for. Vladdy didn't want deferrals in that deal and gets a full no trade out of it as well. So he gets basically everything he was looking for this offseason in an extension with the Toronto Blue Jays. Framber hasn't looked great to say the least, but it seems the last couple of seasons he started slow, but we'll see. He's always more of an emotional pitcher as well. As they get the juices flowing for the season, I think he'll pitch a little bit better, but you got to watch out for those high anxiety games out of Framber as well. Thanks for responding as always, man. Appreciate it. Absolutely paranormal. Lucas is now the Astros because not sure who is a get for the platoon situation, to be honest. It's tough to see, this early in the season if you're looking for teams that could have pieces that they could trade away. I don't think anybody outside the Rockies will be sellers in the NL West. The NL Central, maybe the Reds could be a team that could be a surprise seller at the deadline. I was expecting them to stay in contention a little bit longer here, but the rough start that they've gotten off to, if this continues for a month or so, they could find themselves in a retooling situation at the deadline. With as many young, talented pieces as they have, I'm sure they'll try to capitalize on some of the veterans that they have that they could trade away and kind of reset for 2026. So look for them to be a seller at the deadline. Same thing goes for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their pitching is not quite as good as expected. Bednar's now in the minor leagues. Jared Jones injured. Skeens is otherworldly, and they squandered yet another season of his by not addressing the offense. They could be a team that auctions off anything that's not nailed down at the deadline as well. Judge on pace for 300 RBI season, 120 home runs. He's been phenomenal so far, but we'll see, when this team kind of cools off offensively, where their baseline is. I think they'll still be a good offensive team, a little bit surprised by how good they've been, but I want to see how this team looks in, say, 2 months, with 2 months of baseball under their shoes, or through the calendar anyway, where they rank as far as that offense is concerned. I think lefty I would use too, but that's my issues. I'm more lefty than usual. I know it works, but sometimes it doesn't. But hey, love your work, man. Keep up the conversation. Absolutely, my friend. Tim, welcome in. Appreciate you. Did the Jays sign Vladdy to a 14-year contract extension? Yes, they did. In case you guys are just joining us, the Toronto Blue Jays have agreed to a 14-year, $500 million contract with a full no-trade clause and signing bonus included, and no deferrals in the contract. Still haven't heard if there was any opt-outs yet. Let me just update and just see if there are any. Does not look like there are any opt-outs. So good for the Toronto Blue Jays, good for Vlad Guerrero Jr. They've got the long-term security they were looking for. Be sure to hit that thumbs up at the bottom of this video if you wouldn't mind helping us out. That'd be a great help to us. Subscribe if you are new here. Follow us over on X at UpsideSN and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network as well. Let's see here. They haven't, Cowboys Nation, they haven't faced any pitching either, really. The Yanks, true, they did face the Brewers, and the Brewers' pitching has been rough. But they are going up against the Diamondbacks over the last couple of games. Their offense did come back down to earth a little bit. Their rotation is pretty solid, I will give them that. Let's see here. Should have allowed facial hair long ago. I'll agree with you there. Jeff Passan just reported it. Okay. Golden Volpe ain't going anywhere. True. Yankees face Scooble Tuesday. True. One guy. Okay. All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. Got a long day at work today now since it's after midnight anyway. But really do appreciate you guys tuning in. For those Blue Jays out there, just let us know in the chat what you guys think of the extension here. What free agents do you think you'll target now that you've got your main guys signed for the long term? What holes do you think you'll have on the roster? Do you think you'll keep Bo Bichette? We'll continue our Blue Jays discussion in our next installment this evening anyway, when we discuss the state of the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll check around the league as far as how the weekend went for a lot of teams out there. A lot of surprises over the weekend. A lot of walk-offs today as well. I believe in 7 games, the games were either took a lead or there was a walk-off in the 9th inning or it went into extras today. We'll get into some of the crazy results we saw today as well. But appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and congratulations to Toronto Blue Jays and their fans. They got their slugger done. 14 years, $500 million, no deferrals, opt-outs, etc. in the deal. Vladdy will be a Toronto Blue Jay until he retires. Y'all have a great one out there. Stay safe, everybody.